Vlog number 26, November 11th, 1708, day 11. So, the election happened, and people are either very jubilant or they are basically mining salt, or they just don't really care because they know too much of how the world works and are practically indifferent. However, one thing is for sure, and that is those who are mining salt don't seem to quite understand their predicament as to why they're acting the way they are. Obviously, it's a lack of awareness. And I wanted to make a video as to why this is, because this is a phenomenon that's been going around the world lately, especially here in the West. And that is feelings and how people use them to run away from their other mind's logic and reason. And this gets into the heart intelligence, frankly, because the fact that the heart has neurons that surround it, which contain the memories of feelings, essentially it's its own brain, is actually a relatively recent discovery. Places like the HeartMath Institute have way more information on this subject than I do, but essentially it's its own brain. And this discovery, I think, is one of the major motivations as to why people seem to just follow feelings rather than discerning what those feelings are and seeing whether they're actually good or bad for them. And this lack of discernment is apparently their way of coping with reality. Put it another way, people seem to have a difficult time facing reality with their normal brain, aka the brain that has logic and reason and is able to discern things. And in response to this, they just simply live from their heart and follow feelings blindly without really discerning whether those feelings are actually good for them or not. And because their other mind is essentially shut off so they can't discern it. And those feelings get them into trouble because there's a lot of feelings out there that feel good, but in reality, they are actually bad for you and bad for those around you. There's a lot of bad things that, for instance, feel good, but it is with our other brain that can discern and reason as to why that feeling is bad, and a lot of people are not using that brain anymore. And the reason for that latter part is largely due to how the world has been so crazy and illogical lately for a lot of people who have that kind of programming, the conventional programming that people get from school. Their logic train essentially derails and they see what's happening in the world doesn't correspond to what they have been taught the world should be. And so their way of coping is to shut their brains off. And there's many ways of doing that. Of course, there's addictions. And of course, there's following the feelings route. But the thing is, you can't effectively run your life with just feelings alone. You got to have a higher reason and logic faculties. There's no way you can run everything just by feelings alone. That's just the way it is. It's like, it really takes a combination of your normal brain with your heart brain to really effectively run anything in life. You can't just run one without the other. It's certainly not one without the other because one is denying reality, maybe because they can't face reality, they don't have the strength to face reality, they have a fear regarding that reality that they can't seem to penetrate and get over. They just beat around the bush endlessly trying to get over the fear, but they don't really get anywhere. But yeah, it takes two to tango, essentially. And those are your two major brains, and that's basically what it comes down to. So a lot of these people also who are mining salt right now, their heart intelligence is like that of a 10-year-old or even earlier, because our education system is designed with the all is mind philosophy that comes from the Kybalion. And it's really designed to teach your mind in a way where it's programmed to serve the system, but it is not designed to teach your heart intelligence how to mature with feeling and virtues. It's not designed to grow up your heart. It's designed to make your mind wiser. But as we all know, if we make our mind wiser, but our heart's still the same as a 5-year-old, it's like giving a 5-year-old the TV remote. And so now we have all of these man children running about, whining, complaining, and screaming, or just being like, oh, I won, you're the loser, neener, neener, neener. You know, it's like, that's their language, basically. So yeah, that's the problem with the modern day education system. It only caters to the normal brain. It doesn't cater to the heart intelligence. And in order to effectively wield great wisdom, you need to have a wise heart along with it. Otherwise, foolish decisions are made and foolish behaviors are inevitable. So that, I think, is one of the modern day failings when it comes to this society, is just the way people were taught. They weren't taught in a very balanced way, but a very imbalanced way. And of course, now seeing the fallout, it's like, what do? You know, you've got all these people who essentially, following feelings, partake in hookup culture constantly. They've got no ability to pair bond anymore because of that. And they've become insane. They've become insane. They don't know what their heart intelligence is like because it hardly has grown at all. And their minds are basically racked by traumas and endless relationships. So it's like, what do you do with this situation? It's like, do you figure out a way to institute some kind of program or technique that can help mature their heart intelligence so that they can better deal with their mind? I mean, this is one thought. If they were willing to listen, that is. But if they're already like a 5-year-old, you know, it's like they got to go through some pretty heavy experiences to come to the understanding that, yes, their heart intelligence needs to mature if they are going to get over their current predicaments and their current temper tantrums, which is what it basically is. Their mind's stalled because they have a temper tantrum and they didn't grow up in the heart intelligence level. So, yeah, kind of sad to watch. And this is basically the end result of decades of so-called education where people are basically taught to just love money and to only care about their minds, and everything else is basically just earning money towards that end. It's essentially what college is designed to do, make you a cog in the machine and just love money and love materialism on top of that. And of course, other people are just, you know, quote unquote, tools for that end, which is kind of sad, really, and just, you know, just worship the material lifestyle. But the heart intelligence doesn't really operate with that materialism motif in mind. It more operates on the spiritual level. So, you know, at best, what you would usually see is some kind of religious programming in the heart brain. Typically, one of the major religions will do this. And of course, you know, religion being cult following, they don't really go beyond that because, as I said in video number 25, religion is designed to narrow one's vision of life, even when one's vision is way beyond that. Apparently that video is not very popular, but the truth isn't popular anyway, so I am not surprised. But anyway, it's clear that this country has a heart intelligence crisis, and I think that's more of a hidden fact. It's not openly talked about, but it is definitely a hidden fact because also the perspective of having a great heart intelligence is skewed towards the idea that, oh, having a big heart just makes you weak. You got to be strong and physically and mentally in order to get things done. But you also be strong in heart too, because it's become clear that a lot of the evil we're facing it's a spiritual war. And a lot of the evil we're facing requires having a strong and mature heart to face it. And those people who have that are the ones that are now standing out. So you can just take what you see and just, look at reality for what it is. And a lot of the people that, you see now largely have a really strong heart intelligence, whether it's towards good or they are evil as heck. So there you go. And like I mentioned in previous videos, it's the heart that makes the music. It's the mind that interprets it. It's the composer. And however it's interpreted will determine how reality will manifest. So if the heart is black and the mind can interpret it to make it even worse, that's what happens. But it can also make a veneer of, I'm going to help you even though it is evil. And a lot of people, because they lack a mature heart intelligence, got fooled by that. They just followed the feeling, even though the feeling was actually evil. And then, when they were betrayed by evil, they just start throwing a temper tantrum because they don't have the maturity to deal with it. And it's essentially a downward spiral that they perceived to be upward. And oh man, it's just a bad place to be. It's a bad place to be. They need help. They need a lot of help. But yeah, that's basically my rant on why people who prioritize feeling are melting down like crazy. And that's really good summation. They just don't use their other brains, reason and logic facilities, because they can't face the reality that's going on right now, whether they call it quote unquote climate change, aka all the weather extremes, all the earthquakes, etc. They have a hard time figuring out what's going on. So they just shut their minds down and just live by feelings to get by, and whether those feelings are initiated or catalyzed by addictions or some other sex cults they're part of, doesn't matter as long as those feelings are there. And they don't really discern whether those feelings will lead them on a good path or not because their minds are shut down, etc. It's basically a downward spiral. And I hope that this whole video brings awareness towards that spiral, because awareness is the first step towards awakening, and that's the whole point. And what you do with this is up to you, but I hope you can make your life better because of it. I figure I share that little insight because, well, I don't know how else I can do it at the moment, because everyone's striving for attention due to their egos saying, oh, I've been programmed by social media that I have to strive for attention as much as possible, because then I can be recognized and acknowledged that, hey, I'm virtue signaling to you. You better acknowledge me. This channel is not about virtue signaling. It's just about me sharing my views on how reality works, at least in my opinion. And if you like it, cool. If you don't, you don't. I hope you have luck in finding what you're looking for. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching and have a good day.